Jet Grind Radio!
Well, it feels good to have a Dreamcast again, I'll tell you that. But, I'll get back to you guys in a second, because, well, DJ Professor K's story time is now.
Somewhere in Asia, there's a city that cannot be found on any map called Tokyoto, but everyone just calls it Tokyo. The two hottest things in the streets of Tokyoto are the punks wearing magnetically driven inline skates powered by newly developed Netrium batteries and Jet Set Radio, a pirate radio station manned by the DJ Professor K that plays nothing but non-stop hardcore music. Those street punks have been named Rudies by the people of Tokyoto. They roam the streets and cover the city with their personal graffiti, claiming that it is their way of expressing themselves to the world. However, ever since the metropolitan government and the financial conglomerate, the Rupkaku Group, combined their efforts to co-found the 21st Century Project, the streets of Tokyoto have never been the same again. Police crackdowns on the Rudies have become more severe, and Captain Onishima is more anxious than ever to put them behind bars. The streets of Tokyoto are ready to explode.
Well, that cutscene definitely took a lot longer than I remember it, but I have had a Dreamcast in, say, what, 2-3 years, simply because, well, I was a complete idiot and, well, thought I had broke my console, only to realize it wasn't broke, I just hadn't cleaned it in so long. And then once I realized, it was a quick and easy fix to clean it, I couldn't find my power cord, so I had to run out and buy a new one. If you're wondering how I was able to buy one at this day and age, well, there's a universal cord that works with the Xbox 360, not 360, original Xbox, the PS2, GameCube, and the Dreamcast, so I kind of lucked out on that. And this tutorial really just insults my intelligence. I mean, it insults everyone's intelligence. Pretty much skate like a flailing retard and jump on top of the car. I mean, even a crippled grandmother in the grave, 6 feet under, who's been dead from lung surgery that went terribly, terribly wrong, then had a foot surgery that went terribly awry, then got hit by a Greyhound bus going 80 miles per hour on a Thursday in the middle of Detroit on a summer day, could probably do. And no, I'm not really going to look that up because it's a completely fictional situation, and if you don't really like my fictional situations, then don't watch this LP, because you're gonna get, well, a lot of that, and, well, deal with it. And this is where I think the game should have really started off with its tutorial, because it's, actually some important things, not just, hey, we're gonna randomly jump on a car. But I will say Jet Grind Radio is one of my favorite games, and the sequel, well, not sequel, the remake, Jet Set Radio Future on the Xbox was also a pretty good game. I prefer this game because of the little things, not really the big picture, like a hub world, the giant story, the in-depth and everything. I mean, even though the story in this game is pretty cool in itself, I mean, it's got some original perks. I mean, how many games do you know where you go around on skates spraying graffiti in order to stop this huge conglomerate of a government conspiracy with assassins, with other gangs built like robots, some just a bunch of, well, I'm not going to spoil anything. Cutscene after these tutorials will explain just about what you'll be encountering for the most part. Sure, there's a little stuff that I may have already spoiled in that past, 3 sentences, but anybody watching this LP has probably already played this game before. I remember back when I was a kid, doing this little, skate backwards trick was so difficult for me. I could not just, rotate, well, not even rotate, just flick the thumbstick forward, then flick it back and forward again during a dash to make myself go backwards for the life of me. I just couldn't do it. And, doing it now, I just feel like a complete idiot. Or some sort of imbecile. But that's Gum's tutorial. At least I think we're done. Yeah, we're done. But, here's my main guy. This is the main man. One of my favorite songs in the game is playing right now as well. But this guy, he just has epic on him. I mean, look at that hat. You cannot tell me that you would not trust a guy wearing that stylish hat. Or that cobalt blue, but yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but that little orange thing on his head. When I was a kid, I used to think that those were his eyes. Yeah, I was completely dirt child. The fact that I'm able to even operate any form of technology to this day is quite beyond me. But this is what I meant by the little thing. You actually have to put in, commands to actually progress through the graffiti instead of just rolling by and pressing the R trigger, which is something I really prefer in this game over, Jet Set Radio Future. But, if they were to remake this game again or make a sequel, I do think they should bring back the whole, trace what the design is and go with it, rather than just spray.